JDM Legends 4.
Ready?
Ready. I love this game.
It's so good. Okay, you gonna select first?
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna be Miata.
Character selected.
Seems that you can't be a Miata. That's ridiculous. You literally own a Miata in real life. That's the most boring choice. Do something else.
Get rid of that then. R35 GTR.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Nah, it's too OP though. Forerunner. Why is there a Forerunner?
What if we have to do one of the overnight parts from Japan missions?
Oh, I haven't downloaded that DLC yet.
Okay. You're taking too long. My turn. Okay. Ooh, S2000. Is that a Supra?
Yeah,
No
no,
joke?
it says it right there. Why would you ask? That's a strange question.
I think I'm going to take this character because he looks like a handsome gentleman, and that's a cool car.
Character selected.
Let's do this.
Okay, fine. I'll probably have to go with the Mark V then. 2021 Supra.
You can't pick a new Supra.
Why? Because it shouldn't be on JDM Legends, because it's not a proper Toyota and it's actually a BMW, and you're choosing a joke that's like being a horse for the stick.
No, because when you choose that particular character, he does a dumb little guitar solo, and I can't stand it.
No, look, it's... I think that is great.
You're watching Throttle House. I'm Thomas. And this is the Mark IV A80 Supra. And I'm James. And this is the 2021 A90 Supra.
Seeing a Mark IV Supra on the road is uncommon. Seeing an almost entirely stock version is really rare. This is a 1994 JDM spec Mark IV twin-turbo Supra with just a few light modifications, meaning that today we will get to experience its 276 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque pretty much as it was delivered from the factory in Japan. This really is a JDM legend, and today it's up against its much younger and rather controversial descendant.
Controversial? No. In many ways, this is actually a perfectly suitable successor to the Mark IV. The fundamentals are there. Rear-wheel drive, inline-six, turbocharged, manual transmission. Okay, not that one. But the 2021 gets some fancy performance updates, which we'll talk about in a minute. Today, we are stepping into history and a difficult buying decision, because usually in our old versus new series, the old car is massively cheaper than the new one. Not this time, as they'll both set you back a similar amount, and we want to find out why. And if you're new to Throttle House, we do car reviews, track tests, and quite a lot of messing about. So subscribe and hit the bell.
Alright, back in the seat of the Supra 1 year later, and there's the familiar sound of the B58 turbocharged with pops, running through the gears in a ZF 8-speed transmission, which is an excellent transmission. If I have to be denied the manual shifter, I will take the ZF because it's great. Drop it to second gear, put my foot down, there's the torque. And this year, there's more of it.
And that power
power upgrade isn't just a software thing, because even though some of the news is that there is now a 4-cylinder turbocharged Supra, for 2021, this 6-cylinder one before me has undergone some physical upgrades. There's a new cylinder head, a new exhaust design, they've changed the pistons, which has lowered the compression ratio, but they've dialed up the boost. The result? 382 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque. That is significant. So maybe it's time to get an F in chat for the 2020 buyers. But before you put an F in the chat, can you really feel the difference? The answer is, not really. I mean, the torque hasn't changed much at all, even though we've got like 50 odd more horsepower. Like maybe there's more at the top end, but it never felt slow to us anyway. So from a power perspective, it doesn't feel a world of difference. And last year, when people put the normal stock 2020 on the dyno, they found that it was underrated. So in some ways, maybe this is just more accurately rated. But I guess we can wait for another dyno.
All right, the A80 Supra with the 2JZ GTE engine. This car is a legend. That's the only word for it. I'm not sure that new Supra ever had a chance attempting to fill the shoes that this thing left, because everybody loves this car. And for good reason. This car it's all about the engine. Twin turbo, the most, what's a characterful power band I think I've driven in a car. You can feel the transition between the turbos. They're sequential. So that means once I get past 3,000, you get hit with a second turbo, which rips you right to 7,000 RPM. That's a good engine. So, the 2JZ GTE. It says it right there. Why all the hype for this engine? See, Toyota was really clever when they built it. Most engines, if you were to add a lot of boost and tune them, you end up with an engine that starts to fall apart at the seams. Not this one, because the block is made out of iron, the crankshaft is forged, the main bearing journals are massive. It's got under-piston oil squirters, and the whole thing is quite bulletproof. So, on stock internals, you can tune them to 700 horsepower. And if you rebuild the bottom end, you can hit 2,000. This one is stock. That's really rare. Do you know how hard it was for us to find a Supra that didn't have 1,000 horsepower already? This one's got an intake and an exhaust, so it sounds good there, but honestly, the exhaust noise is completely trumped by turbo noise. In fact, the whole straight line experience of this car is really cool. Gear selector is great, the clutch is really obvious, and the pedals are perfectly spaced for heel-toe downshifts. Oh, the wave of boost, it's so cool. We're fortunate enough to have driven an R34 GTR as well as this now, and I can say that I like the engine in this better than I like the RB26 in the GTR. There's just kind of more excitement to it. Oh, and shift more. I can see why people tune these. That is very addictive and you kind of just want more of it. But honestly, I was expecting this car to not feel quick by today's standards. It really does.
Quick shifts, great throttle response, great power, perfect amount of power. So, enough that you can enjoy it. The red line, even though it's only at 6,500, allows you to shift through the gears so you get to have fun on normal roads, which is exactly what a car like this excels on. Yes, you can take it to the track, and we have done it, and Thomas has pulled off insane slides in this stuff, and it's really fun. But the fact that you can enjoy this on the road, more so than a Cayman actually, it's more playful, is worth a lot. Really fun chassis. And it can be tail happy in a really playful way. Really playful way. And there's Thomas in the old one. God damn, that looks good. And it's got real vents. You know what? I'm just going to address this for a second. We took a lot of heat last year for saying that the vents that look fake are fake. People were saying that all you have to do is remove that little fake vent and suddenly there's a gap and then boom, race car. No, if you actually look at the vents, there is no gap behind it. And if you read what the designer said, it's more that he showed where the vent would go. So they're not so much fake vents that can turn real as they are vent location identifiers. So, fake vents. But they've done some handling stuff as well. We've got new strut braces, which kind of look like they've been done in the back of a shop by a guy called Gary. We brought up Gary again. It's no slam on Gary's. He's just a very talented man. But I kind of wish he put a bit more heart and soul into those strut braces. Still can't put the windows down though without the world's worst buffeting. Feels like my brain's getting examined by the wind.
Okay, so Supra, engine, 2JZ GTE, fantastic. How does the car handle though? The steering is really light. In fact, the one thing we loved about the R34 GTR was just how incredible the steering was. The feedback was immeasurable. This is quite a lot number than I thought it was going to be for being an old hydraulic rack or a car from the 90s. But the front end is surprisingly precise. The steering ratio is quite quick. And I find that it just kind of turns in without any protest. The car stays very flat and it's on stock suspension. But this is like the new Supra, and this is why it's different from the R34, that it's very pure. It's rear-wheel drive. The car feels light. It feels very, very easy to control. It's quite well balanced. Again, you don't really often hear about handling assessments of one of these Supras because everyone's all about the engine, but it drives very well. Woo! So, the A80 Supra, is it a legend? Yes, no questions. Do I like it? Very, very much. And it looks cool too.
Oh, I'm looking forward to driving this.
You should be, but what is that?
Oh,
Wait, I've never seen one before.
I figured you wouldn't recognize it, yeah. For 2021, there's quite a lot of changes.
Oh, it's a Supra.
It is a Supra, yeah. Actually, there's only one change.
You're
There's
right.
now the word Supra on the brake caliper.
Wow. Yeah,
That is
they
it.
wrote
But I wouldn't expect much more than that from a one model year change.
I guess it's.
And they've changed a lot mechanically.
It's all mechanical.
So-
that's fair. That's fine. I've been dying to get these two next to each other ever since that came out, obviously, because this is a really, really cool looking car, and I have to say that if this is a Supra, which it is, that doesn't look like a Supra. I guess, though, to be fair, the previous generation of this looked very different.
Well,
so,
that and there's 27 years separating these.
yeah, it is a significant amount of time, so they obviously changed some things. But this, look how nice this car is to look at. Like, proportionally, proportions are everything to me.
Yeah.
Right? I like the length of the hood, the length of this section, and the length and the size of the wing is perfect. I will say though, on camera, this car, and on pictures, I've only really ever seen it in pictures, maybe once at a car show, it looks wider and longer than it actually is. It's actually kind of compact. It's really cool. It's kind of this cool effect. This one has an aftermarket hood,
I can see.
as you could see.
Very aggressive.
And wheels. Also, this one has a little bit of like drift love. Do you know what I mean? On the front.
yeah.
But we found when we looked at the used market that doesn't seem to affect the value really at all. Obviously, like a mint condition one's going to be worth more, but there's like a baseline now for these.
They're absurd, the prices.
They
60,
are-
70, 80 grand Canadian.
Well, I saw some on eBay for like 120 US with under 100,000 miles on them.
At what
Like,
point is it too much? Even if it's an icon.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. There has got to be an upper limit to what I would.
Supra fans are just like, never.
There's never an upper
Never
limit.
too much. I own the keys. This is my car.
Value goes up,
Yeah.
please. Can I show you the interior? Because it's actually really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
It's pretty cool, right?
It's very dated.
Yeah, well, yes, obviously it's very dated, but like it's got all this. It's got a boost gauge. Are you even in a Supra if there's no boost gauge?
You know how you know you're in a Supra? Because everyone says, is that a Supra? So I know I'm in a
so you
Supra.
know, you're constantly reminded.
This looks like a C4 Corvette with this kind of like really driver-centric
Oh, I know what
cockpit.
you mean. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe a C4 Corvette looks like this.
Except the C4 came first.
That's true. You're right. Oh, interesting. Either way, it's really cool because it's so driver-centric, right? Like I am completely irrelevant. I mean, I have 2 glove boxes. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
If I need to store 2 different things, I can put them in each of those.
Do they both open? Does everything work?
Yeah, everything works because it's a Japanese car. That's obviously, it's not my BMW.
Got an aftermarket wheel here.
Aftermarket wheel. The gauges are really cool because have you ever in your life seen like gauges that are easier to read than that?
They're pretty, yeah. It's
Like,
like,
those
it's like
numbers
the
are
friendly calculator that's just...
Yeah, with the big numbers, like
that old people get.
the phone you give your grandparents with the giant numbers. Yeah,
No, it's all very like, it's all there.
it
you
is.
know?
Well, it's all right
It feels
in front
like
of you.
it does feel like a spaceship cockpit.
Yeah. It's cool. I don't know. It's very, very, very Japanese car in here. Like very Japanese car. If you've ever owned a Toyota at all from this era, there's just so much like the switchgear, like the
Meets 90s
everything.
Corvette.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, then it's all the same stuff.
But the visibility's pretty good.
Visibility.
The
is very good.
visibility, obviously the A-pillars get bigger as time goes on because
That
of
has
safety.
to, but
the visibility in the
look
new
at the-
Supra is one of the worst things ever.
Look at the size of this window.
And can you drive it with the windows down?
Yes.
Can't in that.
Can't in
No.
that. No, that's definitely a thing. Like, also the dashboard is, well, for me anyway, is so far away. This distance here is really bizarre. I feel like I'm sitting in a lounge chair. It's really neat. Driving position is really cool, though. It's definitely not a BMW Supra driving position. Like that is. I made the joke. I'm sorry. We had to have at least one in the video.
I told you to write it on your hand. Do not make the BMW joke.
jokes.
Low-hanging
No.
fruit.
Okay, it's fine.
Dead horse beat.
Dead horse has been beaten. Anyway, this is still a very cool driving position. It feels special.
No, this is a
It's
a proper
immediately-
cockpit
It's immediately identified as a Supra, and I think that's very cool.
or a C4 Corvette.
Fine.
Comfortable seats though.
Very nice.
Very comfortable.
Yes.
Big, thick leather seats.
Should we go look at the new one?
Yeah, right.
All right.
All right. Obviously, not much has changed in here. So more important is how does it feel compared to that one?
So different. Like, this is very claustrophobic. And weirdly, I didn't notice how claustrophobic this was when I drove it last time. But after being in that...
It's dark.
It's
dark. I say
dark.
this all the time. People say that the Camaro has terrible visibility. This is at least as bad.
I honestly agree with that. The only difference between this and the Camaro is that these sills are a lot lower. The Camaro sills are high on the side, right?
Fair enough. But
It's
this comes up high too.
It does come up high. This is a strange cabin, and you know what it's not. And I have to bring this up again, I'm sorry. It's very German. After being in like a proper Japanese car, the way that it kind of, it swoops, it's animated. This is so, this is right angles. You know what I mean? Like,
I like that though. I think it's
well, yes, you like German cars.
it's composed. I like it.
It is composed.
One thing I really want to focus on though,
Okay.
that's like actually important,
Okay.
is last year when we tested this car, we found out in a moment of scientific discovery that the horn is the weakest. And people were laughing at me when I honked in traffic.
All right, we're
I'm
gonna
sure
test
you
it
guys
right now.
remember that. I want to see if they've changed it after the complaint because
Are you
there's a
ready?
million views on that. So hopefully the Toyota listened.
3, 2, 1.
If you had changed nothing else, Toyota, that would have been the one to change. All right, hold on. We'll play a quick clip of the old one.
Yeah. And then the new one.
Okay. You know, this
I'm
sounds,
sorry, what were they thinking?
I feel like a Vespa has more
I think a Vespa has a more aggressive horn
baritone.
than that.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Otherwise, seats are not bad. The seats are actually narrower in this than they are in the old one.
They're a bit
for
harder.
Sure. Yeah. You know what? Like, I don't mind the interior of this. I like the gauge cluster, which I thought was Toyota stuff, but it's actually BMW stuff. And what I do like is that this is the previous version of iDrive.
And you like that.
And I like that.
But national heritage and identity aside,
Yeah.
it's very simple. I kind of like it. The sport button's right there. It's easy to press. The traction control.
Yeah, there's some good things, as you're pointing out, but there's also some bad things.
About
There
the
is-
simplicity.
Yes, there's no storage.
There's not
almost
much.
no storage. Like this is not this is a pencil holder down here. This doesn't open,
But you do have cup holders.
and the old one doesn't have cup holders.
There you go.
This is the
And they
future.
cost the same. So that is basically for free.
basically
they
free.
throw that in for free.
And the glove box is tiny. Like this is it. This is James. That's the only storage you get in this whole car. I suppose you could. Well,
I mean,
the trunk is right there, I guess. But
I own a Miata, so
you're used to this.
this is way more than I even
Yeah,
begin
that's
to
right.
deserve. It is sporty.
solidly built.
For all questioning its nationality, fine, but for all its
Yes.
it is a sporty focused
It
thing.
absolutely feels like a sports car.
But
yes, but
not as driver centric. I have full access to this stuff. I don't feel closed off.
No.
I am as much a part of the journey as you are.
Yeah, definitely. This is, as I said, it's the way that the Germans kind of do things, right? But I mean, listen, I like this car
When I drove it on the track last year, I loved driving it. Some people said it was too tail happy. I didn't think it was. It was just the right amount of tail happy. I thought it was a playful car. Again, I think what I said was that once you get past all the stuff, it stops mattering at some point. So I kind of want to see if that's carried over this year for me.
I'll give it a drive.
All right, in the new Supra. This car is good. Power delivery is smooth. The sound, though, you don't notice it as much because we mostly only drive new cars, but after being in that inline six and now being with this inline six, it's very, very synthetic. Kind of has this like booah sound that the new one doesn't. The new one just sounds like turbo and exhaust and inline six induction. It's very organic. This isn't.
Okay, Mark IV. Oh, the turbo noises! It doesn't throw you back in your seat, but there is more power than I thought there was going to be. You can almost feel the gap waiting to be tuned. You can feel it. And I get to shift it with my own bare left hand. This whole car, and the whole point of a sports car is about engagement. And some of the sports cars do great without it. But driving this one, having just got out of the new Supra, just being able to downshift like that and having that level of control over the engine, I wish they'd done it. I wish they'd done it in the new one.
So, I really do like driving this car. Obviously, we bring up that it is very BMW, but the point is that assessed on its own as a car, it's very good. It is a sports car. It accomplishes that. But it accomplishes it for quite a large price, $67,000 Canadian. Often, these old versus new episodes are really easy for us to choose, whether it's the new one or the old one, because, maybe the old one is $100,000 cheaper, or the new one is significantly better. But both of these have their own charm in their own way, and they both cost about exactly the same. So I honestly have no idea which one I would buy. Sitting in here right now, I feel like I would take this one. But then I look at the old one, and I know what it is and what it represents, and it immediately makes me want it more.
If my 65 grand was on the table here, I think I'd lean towards the new one, just for that level of refinement, because I'd be looking at it as a one-stop shop car. Because even though it doesn't have much storage, it's really comfortable, it rides great, it's easy to get on with. This one is it's not quite refined enough for me, but I wouldn't blame you if you wanted this one, because it really does feel, I feel like I'm in a time capsule. It feels really special.
Choosing between these cars left us more confused than we'd ever been. Looking at the Mark IV objectively, there are better cars for 70 grand, but then it's a car that does more than turn heads. People lose their minds when they see it, and it just causes joy wherever you go. So as a whole package, you can start to make sense of the asking prices.
The new Supra is great, but where the Mark IV feels like a JDM staple, the Mark V feels less so, and is also a tough pill to swallow at the new higher price for 2021, because there you're encroaching on Camaro ZL1, M2 competition, Cayman territory, a dangerous place to be. Ultimately, having all these options is something to celebrate. But put it this way, ask a 2021 Supra owner what their dream car is, and they might say a Lambo, or an LFA, or a Porsche maybe. We asked our 1994 owner what his dream car was, to which he cracked a sly smile, showed us his keys, and said, "I own it." Thanks for watching.